So what does a business manager do and what is business management? As an artist, you're the CEO, you're the brand, you're the face of your company. Your manager is more like a COO and handles day-to-day operations and helps you kind of move your business along. Your lawyer handles a lot of business affairs, keeps you out of legal hot water, and I, as the business manager, am your CFO, handle everything financial. So we keep books and accounting records, we file your taxes, we handle budgeting and cash flow for projects, so touring, making a record, making a music video, whatever that might be. We collect and distribute funds. So, when you're out there touring or you get a big sync license, people have to pay you. So we'll go chasing after those people and make sure that they're paying you on time and that your payments are accurate. And then we'll go ahead and distribute those funds as necessary. So that might be paying commissions to your team, paying for rentals for a studio or, a bus if you're going on tour, whatever it might be. And then finally, we assess your business liabilities. You are exposed to the elements as a business owner, and there are a lot of things that can go wrong when you're out there touring around the world or hanging out in a studio, surprisingly. So when should you get a business manager? I get asked this question a lot, and there's not really a one-size-fits-all answer to this. Everything's gonna be tailored based on your needs and experience. So some people are better with money and numbers than others. So you're gonna really have to assess this on your own as you go and where you are in your career. There is a time and place to kind of make that transition or make that phone call. I always suggest starting the relationship early. If you have questions or unsure about things, then have a conversation. Make the phone call, reach out, take a meeting if you can, and ask the questions that you might have. Because there's going to be a point in your career where handling the money, handling the numbers, and dealing with finances is gonna get in the way of what you really came to do, which is be creative. So you're gonna have to delegate that out at some point. As you move your business along, you're gonna be doing some goal setting. I'm sure that you all have goals within your career, may they be financial or personal, and you're gonna wanna define those. You're gonna wanna make a plan to kind of achieve those. So maybe you wanna buy a house. Maybe you have had your eye on a certain piece of equipment for your studio, or you just simply want to build an empire. You gotta define what those goals are, and then your team will work around you and try to help you achieve those. Another question I get a lot is, how much do business managers cost? So we're generally 5% of gross business income. We work on a commission basis, much like your agents or your managers do. But we do have some other client situations where maybe we consult at the beginning, or we work out flat fees, or do something on an hourly basis. Again, this is a personal conversation that you're gonna have with whatever business manager that you decide to talk to. So now that we've talked about what I do, another big thing that we should all talk about is, where does the money that we manage come from? So there's a lot of revenue streams for you guys out there as artists. Some are more obvious than others. I think the first big revenue stream that we see a lot is recording. So you're going to make your art, you're gonna make your music, you're gonna put it out to the world, hope people stream it, hope people buy it, and you make money off of it. Another big one is touring. We've seen a major uptick in our touring business in the last 10 years. I think we business managed more tours this year than I ever have in my entire career. It was insane. Hand in hand with touring is merchandising. So obviously, if you're out there on the road, you want to be selling your music, you want to be selling your shirts, selling your goods. It can be a great revenue stream, but you can also put your merchandise on the internet. We have clients who have great, super successful online stores, or might do some sort of merch brand partnership. It's a great way to make some money in the business. Writing and publishing. So whether you're writing and publishing your own music, you might also write and publish for other artists. Do you see a lot of ghostwriting and other things, and depending on the structure of those deals, it can be a great source of income for you. Maybe you write a great song, but it's not necessarily right for your album, but it's right for somebody else's. Sync licensing. So this is a good one because I feel that sync licensing kind of has a multi-pronged effect in that You can get a lot of exposure from the right sync license, be it a good TV show, a good commercial, a movie trailer, and somebody's gonna Shazam who you are, they're gonna find you on the internet, they're gonna stream your album, they're gonna buy your album, they're gonna come to your show. But a sync license, depending on what it is, can also be a really big payday. Producing, a lot of my artists work with producers who, make that their bread and butter. They live in studios, that's all they do. But you might produce your own work as well. Finally, endorsements. I've been seeing a lot more of this, I think, as the rise of social media and kind of Instagram things have become popular. So a lot of brand partnerships, a lot of endorsements, and also we see a lot of endorsements on tours and things as well. As fast as you can make the money, you can also lose it. And this is the dark part of my job. A big part of our job is protecting your assets. So once you've made money, you try to figure out how to keep it. And things can happen and go wrong when you're a business owner. And we want to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So I think everybody is a little bit familiar with artists that get sued because somebody thinks that their song that's out and wildly popular right now is derivative of something else. There's insurance for that. It's not necessarily inexpensive, but I think when you put your work out there, you do run the risk of somebody saying, I did that first. And if you're really successful and making a lot of money off of that song, somebody's gonna want a piece of that, and you don't wanna have to come out of pocket for it. Accidents happen on tour and in the studio. This is probably one of the biggest exposures that I see on a daily basis. You can be in the studio and trip over a cord, or somebody else could, and they can sue you for that. I see people drop guitar cases on their feet. I recently had somebody fall off a dark stage. Anything can go wrong, and it's often out of your control. And you want to make sure that you're not having to come out of pocket to cover those expenses related to it. And stuff gets stolen. I think this has probably happened to everybody here at some point, but I see this so often, it's crazy. I had a production office in an arena have everything stolen out of it while the crew was loading out for the night. If you've got to replace a bunch of people's laptops and that's gonna come out of your business, that's pretty expensive. So you wanna make sure that you have insurance that can cover something like that so you're not on the line. Maybe you're not ready for a business manager just yet, but there's still things that you can do to set yourself up with a solid foundation so you can be successful as your business grows. I think one of the biggest things that I like to focus on is harnessing your momentum and identifying what's working for you. So if you've got a little bit of traction and you're already making money in a certain area, focus on that. If that's working, why is it working? How can you recreate it? How can you build on that and make it make more money for you? Then you want to live within your means and your budget. You've got a little bit of money. You don't want to spend all of it. You have to kind of assess what your lifestyle is, what your needs are, and kind of stay within that framework. So that goes along with avoiding unnecessary expenses. You have a little bit of money coming in. I know that we've all been there. You think, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. You gotta stop and think what's really necessary, and are you preserving your income and your wealth for something that you might need more later. This is a big one for me. It's easier to scale up than down. So I think everybody's seen it in the news. You have somebody who's wildly successful. They've gone out and they've bought a huge house, 800 cars, and then a year later, they're broke and they're bankrupt and they're living in one of their 800 cars. You want to make sure that you always have something in the bank account for when you have a slow time. Entertainment industry is extremely volatile, goes up and down. Your career is gonna go up and down. So you wanna make sure that you're planning for the long term. So that goes with don't spend the money before it's in the bank. If you get a big royalty advance and you sign the deal, money hasn't quite hit yet, or you have a big sync, payday's coming, you're already thinking of where you're gonna spend that money or how you're gonna spend that money. But don't do it before you have it, because you're going to need it. And you're gonna need it for a lot of reasons. You probably have to pay your commissions to your manager, and you also have to pay our friend Uncle Sam. This is everyone's least favorite part, and also still gives me anxiety every time I have to call one of my clients and tell them they have a monster tax bill to pay, even though it's not my fault. Stop forgetting about your taxes. You have to do it. You just have to. We get new clients all the time that show up and they haven't ever filed taxes or haven't filed their taxes in about 5 years. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna cause extreme anxiety for everybody involved. It's a costly process because it takes a lot of time and effort to get everything cleaned up and put together. It's also probably gonna cost you a lot of money because there's a lot of penalties and interest involved when you have to pay the IRS. And an easy way to make this simpler for all involved is to organize your records. I know it's not as easy as it sounds for everybody because a lot of creative people don't like to be on top of that sort of thing, but there are a number of things that you can do with Excel, or there are apps now to kind of keep your income and expenses organized. I highly recommend finding something that works for you. We often have to look back at information that we've kept on file for years because something comes up where it becomes relative out of nowhere. Having that stuff at the ready and just being organized is going to be extremely beneficial to you in the long run. So, you are all entrepreneurs here. You're trying to create a music business. You're the product, you're the service, you're the brand of your company. So it's important that you take that very seriously. If you're intimidated by any aspect of the business, hire professionals around you to help you succeed in those areas. There are managers, there are agents, there are lawyers, business managers, publicists. There are people here to help you be successful. So don't be afraid to delegate what you're not comfortable doing yourself. It's really gonna just help you be more successful in the long run. Treat your career like a business. That's what it is. And that's it. I'll take a couple questions now.
How long do you recommend keeping records of certain things? Like, is there like a
IRS mandate is 7 years. We keep all of ours for 10 just to be safe.
Okay, great. And then, so the second part of that is like, as a business manager, I know you said it's important for the artists and the business to make provisions to have like funds for later should they come on hard times. So are you all also helping with like investments?
Yeah, we do. I don't specifically handle investments myself, but I do have an investment team that does help us make those decisions because there are also tax saving vehicles involved with that. So that's kind of looking at the bigger picture of what you have left at the end of the day or at the end of the year when it comes tax time, and seeing what's available and what the best options are for the short term and the long term.